the total scattering cross section, it is sigma L for all partial wave, is related to the scattering phase shift that we have derived in the last class. Now, the expression between the scattering cross section that is sigma L for all partial wave. It is given by 12 plus 1 4 pi by a square sine square delta L. And for S wave, therefore when L equal to 0, it is 4 pi by k square sine square delta 0. Now this is the scattering phase shift delta 0, and another low energy parameter we shall define here, that is the scattering length. Now actually there are two low energy parameters, one is scattering length, another is effective range. Effective range we shall discuss later. Now we shall discuss the scattering length. Now it is well known to all of us that in the triplet case, when the spins of neutron and protons are parallel, then the strength of the potential is much stronger than the antiparallel case. That is triplet state potential is much stronger than the singlet state potential, as we have seen in the case of bound state treatment of the deuteron. Now, when the scattering will take place, the scattering of neutron by the protons, then the scattering may take place in both the cases, in parallel state, spin state, that is triplet state, or say antiparallel spin state, in the equally well probability. Now therefore, a proton is at rest at which a hydrogen-rich element is the target, hydrocarbon element, and a beam of neutron is scattered from it. So there is a possibility either the scattering may take place in the parallel spin state or antiparallel spin state. Therefore, when scattering takes place, both the parallel spin and antiparallel spin scattering may take place, because we don't know in which state the scattering is taking place. Either it may be in the triplet state or may be in the singlet state. Now, for simplicity, here we consider the same, say, repulsive squirrel potential, and we shall calculate the scattering length for the triplet and the singlet states, and see what will be the implication of this low energy parameter scattering length. What does it say? Now, for simplicity, we consider that in both the cases, that is in parallel spin state or antiparallel spin state, in both the cases, the potential is represented by represented by a hardcore square well potential. That is the nuclear potential between a neutron and a proton is the hardcore square well potential. For singlet state, for singlet case, the whale is shallower. Or narrower than the triplet case, because in the triplet case the potential is much stronger, so the depth of the well in case of triplet scattering is much stronger than the singlet state. So in the singlet state the potential well will be shallower or narrower than the triplet case. Now the potential as we have seen earlier, the potential is represented, potential well is represented by this one. This is the potential is plotted along the, this is the potential. Now this is the hard core of the potential. This distance is C, core radius. The range is D, the depth, this is D0, and here finite discontinuity is there. Now this is your r-axis. So this point is B plus C. Now as it is a scattering problem, both the particles are free. So here the energy of the incident neutron, that is E. E is the energy of the neutron. This is this one. This is the energy of the system, E. In case of Deuteron problem, when bound state we have written, that is E was here, that was the binding energy minus E. Now it is positive energy, that is E is the energy, total energy of the system is a positive quantity, because in case of scattering the problem is a positive energy state problem, and no need to bother about the normalization constant of the wave function, because in the scattering problem the normalization is not important. Now as it is here region number 1, this is region number 2, and here region number 3. Now we solve the Schrodinger equation. As we know that in the region number 1 there is no probability of finding the particle, so we need to solve the Schrodinger equation here. We solve the Schrodinger equation in region number 2 and region number 3. Now in region 2, the Schrodinger equation is written as d2 dr2 d2u dr2 plus twice m by h cross square u equal to 0. This is your kappa square, or we can write it say d2 u dr2 plus alpha square u equal to 0. This is one equation. And what will be the solution of this equation? That should satisfy the proper boundary condition at C. At C, the wave function will be equal to 0. Therefore, the wave function of this equation, which satisfies the proper boundary condition at R equal to C, will be. Therefore, the solution satisfying the, because the solution is either sine or cos, so cos will not satisfy the condition at R equal to C. Therefore, it will be sine function. Therefore, the solution satisfies the proper boundary condition at say R equal to C is that will be u of R, it is u2 in region 2 of R equal to A sine A R minus C. This is the solution of this equation. Now in region 3, the Schrodinger equation is, because region 3 the potential is not there, therefore you get d2u dr2 plus twice m by h cross square e u equal to 0. Because in region 3 the potential is not there, the energy is there, positive energy. So in case of negative energy states, deuteron, it was EB, that's why minus sign was there. And the solution was exponentially decay solution. E to the power minus alpha, if we say it is alpha. Now here it has the same structure like this. So it has also the solution either sine or cos. Now the solution of this equation, therefore, or we can write it as this is your small k square. Therefore, the solution of 3 is u3 of R is equal to b sine kr. Only we don't write sine kr because it is the outgoing wave and it suffers a phase shift due to the appearance of the potential or existence of the potential. So we write it kr plus delta U. Okay. Now A and B are normalization constant, but it has no importance here. No need to normalize all this A and B because it is a positive energy state solution. Now, therefore, these are the two solutions. This is equation number 4. In region 2 and region 3, we get the solution. Now, this is your region 2 and this is region 3. This is the boundary at B plus C. So, as the discontinuity is finite discontinuity, so here the logarithmic derivative of the wave function at the boundary match each other. That means the wave function u2 is equal to u3 at R equal to B plus C and du2 dr equal to du3 dr at B plus C. This is logarithmic derivative of the wave function. matches at the boundary. So if you match the logarithmic derivative of the wave functions at the boundary, then we get matching the logarithmic derivative at the boundary b plus c, what we get? We have, there are two wave functions at 2 and 3, you match them and their derivatives, so we get two equations. Divide one by the other, then you finally you get k cot kb, that is equal to k cot k into b plus c plus delta e. So this is equation number 5. Now this is the equation and this is the phase shift. Now look at this equation, that is this constant. It involves a V0, the potential. Now if the depth of the potential V0 is known, range of the potential is known and the core radius is known, then one can find the phase shift at different energies. Because here K involves both V0 and E. So all the parameters V0, B and C, if it is known, if we put the parameters here, then one gets a relation between the energy and the phase shift. What will be the phase shift at different energies? Okay. Now, if the parameters V0, B and C are known for this repulsive square potential, then one can find phase shifts at different energies. Because the phase shift is a strong function of the energy, at different energy, different phase shift will be there. So this is the relation between the phase shift and the energy. Now, this is our potential. Then what will be the form of the wave function in region 2, in region 3? Now we shall plot that wave function in different regions. This is your R axis and wave function is plotted here. This is your R. Now this is our region 1, infinite potential height. This is region number 1 and here this is region number 2 and this is region number 3. Now the wave function is here is sin kr plus delta 0. Now, this is the wave function cuts the r axis at this point. Suppose this is at say a1. This point is suppose say a2. If it is a proper sine function. Now another is this is sin kr. Actually, how do we find the wave function? In a phase shift, this wave function carries the information of the potential in it. It is an elastic scattering, no absorption and creation of the particle. So there will be a change in the phase of the wave function, and this wave function carries the information about the potential. That is, the effect of the potential is here in the wave function as a phase shift. Now we compare it with a circular function. If the potential is not there, then what will be the wave function? Like this. And between these, what is the change between this? That gives you the phase shift. Now if this is the, in presence of the potential, this is the form of the wave function. It cuts here at a1. Now if we extrapolate it, the another 0 will be equal to here at a2. Okay. Now this is the form of the wave function. Now this point is your C, core radius, and this is B plus T, and here we shall see later on this point is delta 0 k, delta 0 by k, this part A2, and here this part from there is A1 plus delta 0, that is equal to 5. This wave function is sin kr plus delta 0. Inside here, this part is sin kr minus c. This part is also sin kr plus delta 0. Now, these are the distance from the origin to the point where the wave function cuts. This A1, this is called the scattering length, and this is here also, this is another scattering length, depending on the whether the situation is triplet state scattering or singlet state scattering. Now, to find the singlet and triplet state scattering length, we consider the zero energy scattering. That means the incident energy of the incident neutron is very low, very slow neutron. In general, 0 to 15 MeV neutron, that is called the zero energy scattering or very low energy scattering. Now to find the scattering length, that is this concept A1, where the wave function cuts the r axis, that is called the scattering length. So in triplet scattering, when the two spins are parallel, neutron is going, photon is also in the parallel state, scattering is taking place, that is triplet scattering length. And say proton spin is and neutron spin are anti-parallel, then a singlet state scattering will take place. Then in that case, the scattering length will be different. Now we shall see that for the triplet state scattering, the scattering length will be positive, and for singlet state scattering, the scattering length will be negative. So by calculating the scattering length, one can say whether it forms a bound state or not, whether the potential has sufficient strength to form a bound state or not. Now, to find that scattering length, now we consider very slow neutron scattering, that means in the limit of zero energy. So, now we consider singlet and triplet scattering length. Singlet and triplet. Scattering lengths. Now, as we know that this total spin vector for the triplet state, when both the neutron and proton spins are parallel, then in the triplet state the total spin is equal to 1, and for singlet state, when the spins are antiparallel, the total spin value is 0. For total spin s equal to 1, the number of substrates are 3, plus 1, 0, minus 1, 3 substrates, and here only one substrate. So there are 4 substrates, 3 for the triplet state and 1 for the singlet state, but 4 are equally probable. That means when the scattering is taking place, all are equally probable. It may take place from this or from this, from this or from this. So when we calculate the scattering length or the scattering cross section, then its weighting factor will be 3 times. 75% of this scattering may take place from this because it has 3 substrates, and 25% from this because the total event is 4, and out of total 3 is in this triplet state, so it will be 3/4, 75%, and this is 1/4. Okay, so there are 4 substrates, all are equally probable. So in that case, to determine this singlet and triplet scattering lengths, to determine the individual cross sections, because cross section is the measurable quantity, experimentally measurable quantity is the cross section, not the phase shift. So to determine the individual cross section, that is triplet state and singlet states, that is sigma 0 t and sigma s 0 s, T for the triplet state, S for the singlet state. 0 stands for the SOX. We consider the situation in the limit of zero energy. That is, the energy of the incident neutron is very small, very slow energy neutron is impinging upon the proton. When the neutron energy or the wave number K is related with the energy, twice m by h cross square E. Approaches 0. The radial wave function u3 outside the range of the potential. The radial wave function, what will be the form of the radial wave function? Degenerates into a straight line. Outside the range of interaction. That is very slow neutron. So outside the range of the interaction, sign kr plus delta 0. So k is going to 0, very small, kr plus delta 0. So sin x is approximately equal to x. So your function u3 will be equal to b kr plus delta 0. Equation of a straight line. Now here b is a normalization constant, so we can put it 1 because it is a positive energy case. We don't bother about the normalization constant. So it is a straight line. So what will be the nature of the straight line in case of triplet case, when the potential is sufficiently strong or when the potential is not sufficient to bound the particles, that is they have no ability to make a bound state. Now in that case, our wave function is, if we plot say V is here and also here it is infinite. Now this is minus d01, this is minus d02, and there is a limit 0 energy. Now this is the inside wave function. There will be no change, but the neutron is very slow, k is going to 0, so in that case, outside the range of the interaction, this is the case 1, there are two cases. This is UR will be equal to, that is kr plus delta 0. Straight line. B is putting 1. And case 2, when the potential is sufficiently strong, B01, then the wave function outside the range of interaction will be a straight line, but with this form with a negative slope. Because if the potential is sufficiently strong, then the wave function reaches its maximum inside the potential wave. It reaches its maximum and then go downward, and then it becomes a straight line. So the slope at the boundary here, it becomes a negative quantity, negative slope. Now if the potential V02 is not sufficient to bound the particles, then in that case the wave function will not reaches its maximum inside the potential well. Then in that case, what will be the wave function? The wave function outside the potential well will be this one. Because it has no sufficient strength to make the bound state, so it will diverge out. Let me draw it properly. Case 2. And in the limit of just binding, it will be parallel to the R axis. This is U of R for k equal to 0. All are equal for k equal to 0. Case 1, case 2, and this is the limit of pure binding. Now, if we extrapolate this one, then it cuts here at a point that is called A2. So that our potential V02, which is suppose a singlet state potential, not sufficiently strong, it cannot form a bound state. So in that case, its scattering length will be negative. It has a positive slope at the boundary. And in case of triplet state, which has sufficiently strong, deep potential well, so that the potential, the wave function reaches its maximum inside the boundary, inside the range of the interaction, and at the boundary, the wave function has a negative slope, so it cuts the R axis at point suppose say A1. So from the scattering length, if we find the scattering length is positive, the system is bound. If the scattering length is negative, the system is unbound. And in the case of, you get this, in the case of 0, in the limit, you get the scattering length will be infinity, because it is parallel to this, never cuts the R axis. So, there are two cases, case 1 and case 2. Now in case 1, first case, the well is sufficiently deep and wide. The well is sufficiently deep and wide. Is sufficiently deep and wide, so that the wave function at the boundary, that is at R equal to B plus C here, has a negative slope, has a negative slope. The distance A1 where the wave function cuts the R axis. So this distance A1, now I should omit it. The distance A1 from the origin to the point of intersection, from the origin to the point of intersection of the wave function and r-axis is called the scattering length. So this is the scattering length. In case 2, the slope at the boundary is positive. And the scattering length, that means if we extrapolate it, then it cuts the r-axis at a point A2, and therefore the scattering length is negative. And the scattering length A2 is negative because we extrapolate it, it was diverging, so we extrapolate it and it cuts the r-axis at a point A2 in the negative direction. So that's why if the potential is attractive and has sufficient strength to form a bound state, therefore for bound state problem the scattering length is positive, and when the system is unbound, the scattering length will be your negative. Now in the limit of just binding, in the limit of just binding, that means the depth of the potential is such that just it can form a bound state or may break. So in the case of just binding, the wave function will be outside the range of the interaction, will be parallel to the r-axis, so it cuts the r-axis at infinity, so the scattering length is infinity. Just binding, the scattering length is infinity. Now the relation between the scattering length and the phase shift. We go to our previous picture, the relation between the scattering length and the phase shift. Is now we first consider case 1 and case 2. Case 1, for case 1, it is delta 0 1. Case 1, that's why delta 0 1. 1 is here, subscript. It is equal to phi minus a1 k. R is a1 in that case. And for case 2, delta 0 2 that is equal to minus A2K. Now we refer to that wave function plot. You go to the wave function plot. Now here it was A1 and it was A2. This sign KR plus delta 0. Now here, if we take this is the starting point, that is sin kr plus delta 0 cuts here. So sin kr plus delta 0 at A2 is 0. That is kr plus delta 0 at A2. That is sin K2 plus delta 0 2 is equal to 0. So we get delta 0 2 is equal to minus K A2. Now the second it comes here, as the slope here is negative slope, so it should be greater than pi by 2. Tan of theta, if the slope is negative, so it must be greater than pi by 2. So here that is sin kr plus delta 0, that is kr plus delta 0 1. Here in this case, first case, that should be equal to pi. Then sin function, either this equal to 0 is equal to 0 or this may be equal to pi, then it will be 0 again. So here it is that your r equal to A1. So you find delta 0 A1 equal to pi minus A1k and delta 0 2 is equal to minus K2. So this is the relation. So you go to the picture, it will be clear to you, calculate. So this is the first case, the delta 0 1 equal to pi minus A1k. This is due to that this is the second quadrant, because the slope is negative and it is minus A2k. Now in both the cases, the scattering cross section for zero energy is, what is cross section? There is sigma 0. That is 4 pi by k square, 4 pi by k square. This is sine square delta 0. Now in case 1 you put sine square delta 0 1, and in case 2 you put sine square delta 0 2. Now if we put say delta 0 1, then it will be equal to 4 pi by k square sine square pi minus A1k sine of pi minus theta sine theta. That means you get sine square A1k square. This is 4 pi by k square sine square A1k. Now we are considering zero energy. K is going to 0, very very small. As K is going to 0 energy. So in that case you get sigma 0 is equal to, this is sin x is equal to x. So you get A1 square k square. So you get 4 pi A1 square. A square will cancel. So this is the case 1 scattering cross section. And in case 2, for case 2, again if we put sigma 0 is equal to 4 pi by k square sine square delta 0 2. Delta 0 2 is equal to minus Ka2. Sine of minus theta, but here it is a square. So Sine 4 pi by k square, and k is very very small, so a2 square k square. So you get 4 pi by k square a2 square. So sigma 0 in both the cases it is proportional to the scattering length. So scattering cross section is proportional to the scattering length. So in both the cases, therefore we can generally write, say sigma 0 is equal to, in general, in terms of the scattering length, the scattering cross section is equal to 4 pi by a square, 4 pi a0 square, that is a goes to 0. That is called the scattering length, either A1, A2, triplet, singlet, whatever it is. Now, the total cross section in terms of the triplet and singlet scattering length, this is the triplet, A1 means AT and this is A0, AS. So, as the total number of, when the scattering is taking place, it takes place both in the singlet and triplet states. We don't know inside in which state, either scattering is taking place in the parallel spin state or anti-parallel spin state, but there are 4 substates. For the triplet state there are 3 substates, and for singlet that is 1. Therefore there are, event is 4, out of which 3 is triplet and 1 is singlet. So the total scattering cross section, because when experiment takes place, the detector measures the total scattering cross section. Detector cannot divide it, this is the triplet, this is the singlet. Detector cannot define in that way. So what will be the total scattering cross section? You get sigma, that is 3 pi at square plus pi a square. Because the total event is 4, so its probability is 3/4 and this probability is 1/4. So 3/4 into 4 pi at square, 4 will cancel, 3 pi at square, that's why I get. Its probability is 1/4 into 4 pi as square, so you get pi as square. So this is the, in terms of triplet and singlet scattering length, this is the expression. Here 2 unknown, one is triplet, another is singlet. This we obtain from the experiment, total scattering cross section, detector will give you. So to find the individual value of the triplet and singlet scattering length, we need another equation, and that equation will come from another low energy parameter, that is called the effective range.